We're alone now. Let me fulfill my purpose, whispered my tiny alien bride. I had always believed that first contact with an alien species would be monumental, broadcast across every channel, dissected by scientists and politicians alike. Yet here I was, alone in a dimly lit cabin on the outskirts of a desolate asteroid, with no witnesses to this encounter except the small, trembling figure perched on the edge of my cot. She was no taller than a human child, yet her presence radiated something indescribable, a mixture of vulnerability and purpose that made the air between us feel electric. Her skin shimmered faintly, a soft iridescence like liquid pearl, and her eyes were far too large, deep pools of violet that seemed to peer straight into my soul. "We're alone now," she whispered, her voice delicate yet laced with a gravity that made my stomach tighten. "Let me fulfill my purpose." I blinked, unsure whether I had misheard. My pulse quickened, but my mind scrambled to maintain rationality. She had explained, in broken words and gestures, that her species had a unique way of bonding with a human, an intimate process that was both sacred and essential to her survival. Until now, I had treated the notion as an abstract concept, a puzzle I might one day solve. But now, standing before me, her small hands reaching for mine, it became horrifyingly real. You mean here?" I asked, my voice almost a whisper. "Yes," she said simply, climbing onto the bed with surprising grace for someone her size. She settled against my chest, her warmth pressing against me like a quiet promise. "My purpose is you. Only you. I am meant to complete this with you." I swallowed hard, torn between fear and fascination. Her pulse was faint beneath my fingers, yet steady, as if her heartbeat alone could anchor me to this moment. There was something undeniably urgent in her gaze, an intensity that left no room for hesitation. I had studied alien psychology, read every file on xenobiology and cultural rituals, but none of it could prepare me for this. Her hands moved delicately over my skin, tracing patterns that seemed almost ceremonial. She hummed, a low, melodic vibration that resonated in my chest. The sound wasn't merely auditory. It reverberated through me, a physical reminder that she was alive, and that I was part of something far greater than myself. "I need to share with you," she murmured, pressing her tiny forehead against mine. "The life I was born to give only comes through this connection. Please do not resist." Her words were both a plea and a command. I realized that whatever this process was, it wasn't just about her. It was about survival, continuity, the continuation of her species. My fear dissolved into a strange reverence. I nodded slowly, my hand lifting to brush against her cheek. She shivered, and a faint glow blossomed along her skin. Time seemed to distort. Minutes, or perhaps hours, slipped past unnoticed as she began her ritual, small motions that held the weight of centuries-old tradition. I watched in awe, fascinated by the precision and care in every gesture. Her eyes never left mine, and in them I glimpsed a universe of experiences, a history of her people, and the promise of something intimate and eternal. Then came the moment I had both anticipated and dreaded. She leaned closer, our breaths mingling in the confined space of the cabin. Her voice, a whisper, vibrated with power. Now I must fulfill my purpose completely. There was no malice in her words, only devotion. Her tiny hands gripped mine, intertwining with a strength that belied her size. I felt a wave of connection unlike anything I had ever known, a mingling of consciousness, a sense that we were not merely two beings occupying the same space, but two halves of a whole, joined in a bond that transcended language or species. The world outside ceased to exist. There was no asteroid, no cabin, no hum of distant engines. Only her, only me, entwined in a quiet, sacred act. Her eyes fluttered closed, and I followed instinctively, letting go of every pretense of control. In that moment, I understood why she had chosen me, why she had waited, why her purpose required my presence. When it was over, she rested against me, her tiny form almost ethereal in the dim light. I held her, reluctant to break the fragile connection, knowing that in some fundamental way, we had both changed forever. She whispered again, softer this time, almost a sigh. "Thank you for letting me fulfill my purpose." I stroked her hair, the shimmer fading to a gentle glow as her breathing slowed. "And thank you," I replied, my voice hoarse, "for trusting me, for sharing this with me." The stars outside the cabin blinked coldly, indifferent to the moment we had shared. Yet inside there was warmth, a bond that could not be erased, a quiet understanding that we were, in some strange way, complete. Alone on a distant asteroid, with nothing but the hum of life around us, I realized that the universe had folded into a singular truth. Purpose was not just duty, it was connection. And now, in the soft glow of her presence, we had both found it. When it was over, she rested against me, her tiny form glowing softly in the dim cabin light. I held her close, reluctant to break the fragile connection we had forged. Her eyes fluttered open briefly, shining with a mixture of relief and gratitude. "Thank you for letting me fulfill my purpose," she whispered, her voice barely audible but charged with meaning. I traced her delicate features, feeling the pulse of her life in my hands. "No," I said, my voice hoarse. "Thank you for trusting me, for sharing this moment, for allowing me to be part of something far greater than myself." A quiet stillness settled over the room. The hum of distant engines and the cold, indifferent stars outside seemed to fade away, leaving only the warmth of our connection. I realized then that her purpose was never simply about survival. It was about trust, intimacy, and the unspoken bond that now tied us together. She curled against me, tiny but alive with an inner strength that transcended her size. I could feel it, the completion of her purpose, and somehow the fulfillment of something deep inside me I hadn't even known existed. In that silence, I understood the truth. We were no longer just two beings sharing space. We were partners, linked in a sacred, unbreakable way. Alone on a distant asteroid, cut off from the rest of the universe, we had found something extraordinary. Connection, purpose, and a fragile, glowing kind of peace. And as I held my tiny alien bride, I knew that from this moment forward, nothing, not the stars, the void, or the passage of time, could ever sever the bond we had forged.